Happy Monday, everybody. I hope everyone had a great weekend. I was able to celebrate a real, legally compliant, in-person wedding of some friends with masks for some, but still, I do see a glimmer of hope about the future getting back to normalcy. So today is Monday, December 13th, 2021, and this is your Monday market update. Once again, let's review last week's market action. Let's talk about what the big, potentially market-moving week ahead of us has in store for us. Let's talk about that. So last week started with a pretty solid Monday opening performance. We came off the weekend with more optimism that Omicron was going to be more mild, and slowly the evidence is actually starting to come in to back some of that up. The S&P 500 added 1.17% of the day. The Dow was up almost 2%. NASDAQ was up almost 1%, all based on the thoughts that Omicron will not cause lockdowns here in the United States, at least. So rolling into Tuesday, the rebound actually switched into a whole nother gear, moved even higher. GlaxoSmithKline announced that its antibody treatment was doing well in early studies. So recall, as I've said before, test me so I know if I have it, and tell me I'm not going to die from it, and we'll learn to live with it. And that's really sort of what we're seeing. So I don't know if you've noticed, but I've noticed that all of a sudden we're seeing and hearing all kind of commercials for go get vaccinated, go get vaccinated. So someone's making some ad dollars on this maybe, right? So you also had Chinese trade data that was strong, some economic actions in China that freed up some more money to get into the system, and it added a positive sentiment over there. Everybody's back over to the positive side of the boat, to go back to the analogy from last week. The S&P 500 was up 2%. Dow was up about 1.5%. And the big winner, trying to make up some ground, the NASDAQ was up 3% for the day. Wednesday, we did lose some momentum. Even a bull market run gets tired. And it did some digestion on Wednesday. Lockdowns in the UK, and then Pfizer news announcing that their third dose has actually been successful against Omicron in early testing. Actually, those offset each other. S&P 500 did eke out a third of 1% gain. Dow and NASDAQ were down slightly for the day. Thursday brought some sideways movement as jobless claims, the high-frequency data that we like to talk about a lot, hit a 52-year low. So are we still having labor market problems? I don't know. You link that with the JOLT number from last week where we had 11 million jobs outstanding. I'd say we don't have a lack of jobs, but when will they be filled? I don't know. Seasonality really messes with these numbers, so we just have to see how that goes. But I think right now it's important to note the direction of those, not the absolute numbers there. Omicron data is still coming out, looks to be less severe, as we've heard, but up to 4 times more transmittable. Then there's the pending CPI number on Friday, last Friday, that brought in some profit taking, the pending CPI number for Friday, and some profit taking. The S&P 500 was down about 0.75%. The Dow was flat, and the NASDAQ gave back about 1.75%. Friday was the day we all were waiting for, right? And as I think I mentioned last week, most of the news that comes out, any moves that you get from those, except for the big Jay Powell announcement and Omicron, really were only short-lived. And so we'll see if that happens again this week. But we'll talk about that again in a second. But the CPI number was hot. It was hitting a multi-decade high, but it came in about where everyone thought it would be and below where some people feared where it would be. So we saw some choppiness early in the market, but the S&P 500 did rally on the day, close higher, along with most of the major averages. So the week was another one for the record books. S&P 500 up 3.85%. The Dow was up 4.05%. The NASDAQ was up 3.62%. Even foreign stocks and emerging markets got into the action. Overall, the market got a lot of what it needed last week. Good, but not overwhelmingly great economic numbers, nothing that's going to change the direction of the Federal Reserve, and more evidence that the Omicron variant will not stop economic momentum yet. So, and of course, Congress passed the bill to raise the debt ceiling. We can put that on the back burner, at least for now. I'm sure it'll come back and we'll talk about that again soon. But as we say, bell rings Monday morning, and last week's history, let's talk about this week. Let's talk about some of the important news we'll see, but less important than the Fed for a moment. We'll get some reads on PPI. We'll get manufacturing costs, an important retail sales number, which I do think people are going to pay attention to unless the Federal Reserve steals the show. Of course, all eyes are going to be on the Fed. Wednesday afternoon, we're going to get all the news from them. Notable is, according to Bloomberg, there's no less than a dozen central banks meeting this week, including Bank of Japan, Bank of England, European Central Bank. Headline grabbing may be the action of the week, so we'll see how that goes. I think our markets are going to stay focused on what we expect from the Federal Reserve here in the United States. We might get some clarity. that's what we're clearly trying to figure out, right? Expectations are already about the acceleration of the taper from 15 billion a month to 30 billion a month. If that's any different, it will move the market. We'll be searching for hints of what the rate plan will be. That will be the next needle mover. So remember, Powell said that inflation was transitory. Then he said it wasn't, at least not in the common definition. He said that he'd stick to 15 billion a month, and now we think it's going to go to 30. So then he said that we're not going to raise rates until the taper is done. Will he be able to stick to that? I don't know. We'll just have to see. And how many rates will we see the market bake in for 2022? I read a Goldman report this morning that said that they're looking for 3 in 2022 and more beyond that. So we'll see how that goes. The market wants to stay seasonal and rally into the end of the year. At least it appears so. But we'll see if there's something or someone that comes along to spoil that party. I think you can suffice it to say there'll be a lot of words to describe what this next couple of weeks will be. Boring will not be one of them. So there are a few more earnings left to come along. Some of the people will watch, some of the people won't. But Cisco, FedEx, and the new EV kid on the block, Rivian, should have some report as well. I still don't think that those names will really move any markets right now. Just depends. Jay Powell's probably going to be successful in keeping the news on him. We hope so, because we really don't want to, we're not going to get too much into it now, but there's so many other things that are going on in the world right now that we really don't want to bring into this picture in this discussion. Russia, Ukraine, Taiwan, so many other things that are going on. So once again, we'll be looking for Wednesday, a Wednesday news highlight week. So we'll see how that is. Another big week, but as I mentioned before, this one, if it veers even slightly off course, then it could be a big market mover. So at least for a day or two, we'll see how that goes. So please, in the words of the floor trader Art Cashin, stay nimble. Keep in touch if you have any questions, of course. And remember to check out the Friday planning video. Only a couple of weeks left in 2021 to get those final tax planning ideas done. And you'll hear about those on Friday. So I'm still collecting books and podcast recommendation. I'd love to be able to put a compilation together to share with you early next year. All right, have a great week. Stay in touch. Continue to celebrate happy events. We need to bring all that stuff back into the world, even with what's going on around us. Finally, we will continue to keep all those people in the tornado areas in our thoughts and hope that their recovery is quick too. Have a great week.